Okay, so here is the chart, and let me get a little technical. So full moon in Aquarius in August of 2019 is taking place on the 15th of August 2019. It's 8:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So people in Eastern Zone and in Pacific Zone, basically entire North America, it's pretty much going to be awake when we are actually experiencing this. In LA, it's going to be 5:29 a.m. In London, UK, it's going to be 1:29 p.m. In Delhi, India, it's going to be 5:59 p.m. and in Sydney, Australia, it's going to be at 10:29 p.m. So kind of like a day ahead of us, sort of like almost a full day. So let's look into a few aspects. I first want to see this Sun conjunct Venus, which kind of focuses attention on our love life, on creativity and finances, right? If I would just see that aspect, this would be very peaceful and very harmonious, affectionate, and sociable. Hey, what can go wrong with this? Perfect for dating, perfect for getting together with friends, right? Perfect for romance. But we have the full moon, and that can bring relationship tensions and also financial pressures. Then we also have moon opposing Venus, which kind of increases your need for love and affection. It's kind of like regardless of the consequences, right? And if you're single, you might be tempted to lower your standards, you know, just kind of like, I don't want to be lonely, like she's not that bad, oh well, it's okay, he's not going to cheat on me, kind of a thing, right? So you might miss character flaws in potential partners that are obvious to others, and you might not cope well if you don't receive true love in return. So if you have a partner, then it can be some kind of friction, which is going to kind of happen because you might be in different moods or have different needs, or one person wants to kind of do something very active, another person very kind of like peaceful. You never do anything for me, and that kind of stuff, right? But if you have a healthy relationship, then this full moon is most likely going to expose anything that is kind of like simmering under the surface, and that can be successfully resolved. So if this is a tricky part, Venus and moon, what can go wrong? So if your emotional needs are not fulfilled through human contact, then there is potential for substitution through sweet foods, retail therapy, or substance abuse, right? That's kind of like fine in moderation. That's maybe a little bit problematic for your credit rating, right? Or waistline, or emotional well-being, right? So I would just say here, maybe some time alone may be needed to work on your self-love and self-acceptance. So very important. So what else I want to go at? Let's actually look at the moon that is also opposing Mars. That can make you really moody and short-tempered, right? And it's kind of like acting without thinking, which can increase the risk of minor irritations, and kind of like normal situations can turn into fights, right? And intimate relationships can suffer from almost like aggressive instincts, right? Not to mention that sex can be like more sex and like, I mean, less making love if you're kind of like in that if you're in a relationship kind of stuff. Another thing, there is a word for you: Sun quincunx Pluto. So you see, quincunx means basically 5 signs apart, right? And this, in this particular situation, can cause, this is really important quadrant, it can cause a mini crisis, it can cause a threat, because this is going to represent a turning point in your life. Hey, turning point in your life. This is not a Mickey Mouse thing, right? These are outer planets, and when they influence something that is like as close as like the center over here, it is really, really huge, right? So keep in mind that it's almost going to be a buildup of pressure, and that can cause a mini crisis, and it can be very neurotic, it can be a very obsessive and very destructive. It can be triggered by a person or an event, and in relationships you might react by trying to control and manipulate the other person, and it's going to look like, hey, are we not into this together? Why am I feeling that I have to obey you? It's going to feel like really like the egos are coming to the surface. So really kind of like that we will need to work with. So compromise is really needed, because there will be no yes or no. There'll be only gray areas, right? So also with Pluto, what I see over here, this one, this is another quincunx, and this one is Venus, quincunx Pluto. I think it's pronounced quincunx, correct me if I'm wrong, right? So it's not sextile, it's quincunx, right? Sextile is like 6 basically degrees, 6 planets, 6 planets apart, signs apart, pardon me. In this particular case, this can bring complications, and it can make friendships really difficult. And this is also talking about obsessions and possessiveness. This also can talk about jealousy or affairs. So you may become involved with someone who is difficult to get along, but kind of like hard to dump them, kind of a thing, right? You're kind of hard to love, hard to love, but Jesus, I'm stuck with you, kind of a thing. But this is a very karmic aspect. So for karmic reasons, somebody, for example, may come into your life and then cause hysteria, drama, and then just leave, and you're like, WTF, what had just happened, right? And maybe, you know, you're going to feel like you're really drawn to certain people, and you have to really realize that there was like some kind of hidden emotional need. And you can also try to form relationships with people who will try to control you or invade your privacy and, I don't know, take away your freedom. Like, what I mean by that is, like, they just move in with you. They just, you know, invite them for a supper and they stay. And then, like, you are being nice and kind, and you're trying to kind of like work things around, and you really don't know how to really deal with this, right? So what else do we really look? Let's look into, I don't know, like if I can see it here. I wrote it down here for me that the moon is conjuncting fixed star Nashira at 22:04, right? So she's the fortunate one, and this is kind of bringing us good news after all this controlling and turning point in life kind of like warning. So this is kind of like something like it talks about overcoming evil, and you're turning certain negativity to success. It's very close to Justice card. It gives integrity, justice, knowledge of man, it's social popularity and political success, right? And also kind of like the Sun and Venus, I don't know if you can see it here, like we just only see this aspect over here. I'm just like looking into my other calculations because this chart is not perfect, right? And where is my 41? Did they pull it up? I guess not. Just house 45. So Sun and Venus actually conjunct fixed star that is called Ras Elas Borealis, and that gives us like really bold and bombastic, but sometimes also cruel or brutish nature, but also kind of like it's going to be power of expression. Like I have to say it, I want to say that kind of like stuff. And when we're talking about stars, kind of like Mars in conjuncting fixed star Alphard at 27 Leo, which kind of gives trouble and can be scandalous, and it's going to be scandal through love affairs. It's going to reveal if you're attached to a married person, and it could also signify serious accidents, right? So now also with Uranus, right? Uranus is stationed retrograde on 11th of August. This is just like 4 days before the full moon. And it is on the same degree, like 6 degrees in Taurus, right? Interestingly, it's kind of like it's exactly conjuncts asteroid Aphrodite, which was representing the Greek goddess of love, beauty, pleasure, passion, and sex. So this is kind of like that love theme that is going to be really playing. That's why I'm telling you, it's going to be really tricky. So Venus opposite full moon, right? Like what we are seeing over here, which suggests excitement and sudden changes in love life. And it's going to like feel like I really need stimulation. I want to do it, right? It's going to be very unpredictable. Hello, like it's Aquarians, like get a flavor of how we feel all the time, and then tell me that you don't feel compassionate after that. So it's going to be whirlwind romance or affairs, chance encounter, internet dating, thrills, sudden marriages, you know, well, I need to buy this Rolls Royce, who cares, I only live once. And but it also can bring like severe financial losses, but also you might win lottery, right? Also Uranus, since I'm talking about Uranus, which is really important over here, it's conjuncting fixed star Hamal, pardon me, I think Hamal, which kind of like talks about passions, but it also is connecting to love troubles and sensitivity, right? And drinking. So hey, what can go wrong? Drinking and sensitivity. Be careful that you're not in a bad company over here, all right? I mean, like we are seeing them as well here, this Leo aspects as well. So I also want to say that August 15 full moon opposite Venus, and we are back over here, brings your love life and finances into focus for the 2 weeks. So while you kind of like, you will really need love, you really need affection, you'll be huggy and feely, it is likely that, you know, you will also have disagreements. This is really one of those things like, look, I'll read right for each other, right? We also have these difficult aspects from Mars, right? And Pluto. You see, kind of like Mars is like, and Pluto is kind of similar, dragging you down to depths that maybe we don't really want to experience, right? And that's kind of like what can bring anger and jealousy, intimidation, and sometimes really impulsive actions, right? And also challenging fixed stars with Sun, Venus, and Mars, it can bring like that cruelty or affairs and scandals. So, you know, what is the recipe? Patience, understanding, and unconditional love are really needed. Like, let me repeat it: patience and understanding and like love to conquer that evil influences, right? I think some people are calling that star-crossed lovers over here. I've seen other people referring to it, and you know, this is kind of like needed, that kind of like love and patience, and even love your thy enemies kind of a thing, in order to access the good fortune. This is a very karmic period, you know, like it used to be, it was like Lionsgate last year. This year is full moon in Aquarius. Welcome. You guys are not going to like, it's almost like Stargate. Did you see that movie, Stargate? You go through it and it's very different. Nothing is the same. So also, a full moon has a relationship to the previous new moon, right? It's just like August 15 full moon, July 31st new moon, right? Kind of like a similar. On July 31st, like I think, like we had woke up with stress and anxiety, and we were worried about our love life and finances, and it was like almost like, what the heck, what can I do? And it was a huge tension going on, right? So keep in mind that this August full moon lasts for 2 weeks up to August 30th new moon, which is going to be new moon in Virgo, right? So worth remembering is, if the full moon directly impacts your horoscope decan. What means decan? Decans are 3 decans. Each sign has it. First 10 days of the sign, second 10 days, and third 10 days, right? So you can kind of like check your monthly horoscopes when I'm covering this. So it's also very important how it affects your chart. For example, I am born under full moon, as a kind of like, that's why my moon is in Leo, the opposite. So it is like really something to really understand. So this is much about this whole kind of like thing. So let me go into sign by sign. Aries, let's go in order because this is almost like a special because it's premiere, and I know that people who are mods, they are like, oh my gosh, I need to get on with my day, and it's kind of hard to get the timer. So this way is going to make it easier for them. So let's start with Aries. So it's Aries and Aries rising, Aries and Aries rising. Not so much moon in this case because we're also covering this full moon. So let's start shuffling. And for you guys, the full moon falls in your romance and friendship sector. And it is really asking you to find balance between time you spend with your sweetheart and time that you spend with your dearest friends, right? I don't know, you might be asked to release one or the other, or I don't know, you might be finding a way to compromise. And compromise is not really a thing that you truly enjoy. So let's see what I got here for you. I got Sky Queen or Queen of Swords. I got Fire Queen, Queen of Wands. As you can tell, which one do you want? This could be you as well. And then also you have Sky Kitten or Page of Swords. As you can tell, your energies are really, really, really high. And I don't even know if you can see this. And maybe if I use brains that human has been given to extend this stand, maybe it's going to get somewhere. Yeah, maybe some other person who might be more intelligent can like to do it. So there we go. I made it happen, except it's not in the center, and people will go, oh my gosh, Kat, you cannot make it work. No, I can't. That's it. It is like one of my people have talents, and this is one of my anti-talents. I just cannot do it, so shoot me. And it's really good for my OCD because it's forcing me kind of like to deal with this. So what are we kind of like dealing here with, right? So Sky Queen is like that harsh energy, and this is like literally what I was like warning you about this full moon. And this would be the friendship energy, but the friendship energy is like sort of like the one that would keep you a little bit on the kind of like arm's length, kind of like, yeah, I love you, but I don't want you to live with me. I love you, but I don't have time for you right now. You know, that kind of a stuff, right? Well, Queen of Wands, you might be perfectly familiar with that energy. It could be something really exuberant, and somebody who says I can, and then like very kind of like go. But these are also very two different approaches to it. Like while this person is looking a little bit kind of like on the relaxed side, you might see this person introverted sitting on a park bench, thinking, well, nothing is going on. A lot of things are going on because everything for this person is going inside, right? This person is really studying you and checking you out and figuring you out. Well, this person is like, let's do something. It's kind of like almost like adventure, and that's one of the new words that I trained Tiger. So he comes and jumps and gives me a hug, right? So it's kind of like that dynamo kind of a thing. And here, just as I was telling you, this is coming through. Look, he is going to jump and get his little kind of like ribbons, but he's going to squish the plant, right? And dandelion is also edible, and it's really better when you eat it, and it's really good for your liver, by the way. And I don't know why I mentioned this. It's really not important, but it came through. But it's almost like showing, okay, maybe you're chasing something that you want to chase, but you might land and put the foot in your mouth, right? So it's kind of important to understand this. I just want to grab one that come out, and one is Lord. It could be competition, 2 women for a man, 2 men for a woman. Could be that one woman has a child. Could be that you're in a relationship with a child and you're like straying out. You see, I can see these different combinations given that I'm reading this whole astrological chart. Oh my gosh, another card jumped and it was wedding. So this dude over here, it could be a woman because it's a general reading. It could be somebody who is married. It could be somebody who is really not on par where they should be and how they should communicate. The wedding also can be really card that talks about vows. You know, it's not only, hey, it's that romantic thing that we are making here in the Western world, but it's more or less, hey, you know what, how will I make it with this person, right? It's it's kind of like a ceremonial thing of talking about life, but it also can mean loss of independence, right? So again, there mortgage maybe as well, but marriage is definitely involved. There could be meetings between lovers or friends or family. Clearly everything is talking about, guys, this also can be love at first sight. Yes, it could be. It could be also about business meetings, just to like look at that way, but there are like lots of choices here, and choose carefully. Remember, like, that somebody might feel very hurt, those bruised egos, especially with Mars, that really corresponds over here, and the bruised ego are never really good. So, you know, challenge will be to come to an agreement and accept new terms and arrangement, right? So that's really, really important over here. So whether a marriage or partnership, but there is like something that is in the cards, there's like something that really looks very, very promising. All right, let's see Taurus and Taurus rising. So what's going to happen out of it, right, dude? You have a little hair in your eye. So for you guys, this full moon, keep in mind a fixed sign. It's full moon is another fixed sign. You're also going to be pulled into directions. It's going to be career, it's going to be home. You will really feel like I need to satisfy both desires. I really need to know what's going on, kind of a thing, right? And you really enjoy comforts of your home, right? And you really don't like to, you know, work too hard for it. It's kind of like one of those things. So this is kind of like interesting combination that I see over here. So let's try with the same system that I had for Aries and see how that works or doesn't, or maybe it would if is it? Okay, so kinda maybe I should zoom in a little bit over here. It is zoomed. Sorry for the delay. So you guys have the Emperor, you have Seven of Cups, and you have Eight of Wands, right? So the Emperor is like really talking about that maturity, like deciding things with a cool head, right? But here is like that, what I'm seeing, all of these ideas swerving, right? So tensions can really build up. Tensions can build up in a conflict to the point that you will think, well, I really want to run away. I really want to deal with different things, right? So don't let it to get to that way, right? Because it's going to be that stubbornness, proverbial bull, you know, in a china shop, that can really come here to play. And I really think in your case, it's actually all going to end well. After all, you have like this Eight of Fire. Isn't this amazing card? Like how many times we see kitties having this kind of like moments when, yeah. And there is like my black kitty coming to say hi over here, the one who usually sits over here all the time. So I really think what's happening over here, and I'm going to get a few gypsy cards or one gypsy card to clarify over here, is after all, it could be some kind of like trouble. That could be like the compromise. Okay, you know what, I like home, but I can use home away from home. So maybe you're going to go in a couple of days, some kind of like cottaging or something where you will equally feel comfortable, and maybe somebody is going to bribe you with good food or something like where you're not going to feel that you're actually losing anything, right? So let's see which card I can. Oh my gosh, you're getting the same card, and I shuffled it very well. What's your angels? You are Taurus. I know you're Taurus. Come and say hi. Come and say hi to everybody. You would really come. I'm pretty sure that he's Taurus. I really thought, well, we celebrated that he's Scorpio for the longest time because I found him on October, what was it, 29th or 28th, just before Halloween, where the kids, psychopathic kids, wanted to harm him. So really more and more that I see him, I think he's very kind of much Taurus. So Lord is somebody, guys, who is really well established. So that again tells me about you will not be very receptive in receiving other people's suggestions. You will not really want that somebody is guiding you and telling you how, you know, you and what you should be doing. You kind of like want to rule the roost, and that's possibly why the Emperor kind of like showed up over here. And I really think in this particular case, like, this is all adding up to sunshine. It's kind of like going to be a good test of your character. What is important, possessions or people? Like, how do you deal with things? So I really think this also card talks about maturity. This card also talks about, you know, how we actually already learned certain things in life, right? It's also about protection and wealth and status, right? So, you know, it's going to be maybe for you ladies meeting somebody, and men that you would love to have. And this person can be fire sign and could be water sign. In this particular case, could be very particular, could be Aries, right, over here. So, or it could be somebody who is really proven professional. You're going to say, well, you know, this person is so smart. Could be a woman as well. Somebody who is very good shape, who is healthy, and it's kind of like really good with sports. Somebody might even invite you to do something fun. First cats all over me swerving, now it's like a fire truck. What's next, right? So guys, you know, kind of like enjoy, because you are going to show that you're available. You're going to show that you're strong enough for the other person. So if you show generosity, if you show knowledge, you know, it's going to be also that somebody is going to show up who you will maybe need their advice, maybe you will need their guidance, maybe you will need their support. So be open up to that. It could be very beneficial, because I know you kind of like don't like it. I know you kind of like to kind of like deal and have things for yourself, but this actually is going to be beneficial. So enjoy it. Just make sure that if you're asked to release one person or one thing, you know, for you, it's going to be really hard, and don't let this get to conflict, because this is really talking about a lovey-dovey week. So don't let bad things come in a way. So let's check Geminis and Gemini's rising. Geminis and Gemini's rising. So, well, this is where it gets tricky, because all this full moon is about choices, it's about options, and you are the sign that is kind of like fighting constantly in between kind of like two different aspects, right? So let's see what I get out for you. What's up, Safi? You have a rising sign in Gemini? What is going on? Yeah, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you very much. I love you very much. You have Ace of Fire or Ace of Wands, Gemini. It's something about passions, you know. Maybe you're going to have, you know, some kind of option. Oh my gosh, you also have Ten of Earth over here. Hey Safi, do you think I can do the reading? Would you let me? Huh? Oh, would you let me? Come on, pretty please. Pretty please. Yeah, you're Aquarius, you're not a Gemini. But nice try. Nice try. That's exactly how it's going to look like, guys. Two options. And are you going to basically take your passions further, or you'll be happy to keep learning over here? Because this Ten of Earth is like talking about, I'm so solid where I am. I really also have to say this situation, it's really talking about springing in action with someone from your past. Somebody appearing or reappearing, and somebody saying, well, this time it's going to work out. It's going to go all the way, right? Just remember that, you know, take one step at a time. Mastery is not achieved, right? Like, I mean, that quickly. And it's really important here to be realistic. That's why you're getting like this Ten of Pentacles over here, right? Because this is that leap, this is that mastery that I'm seeing over here. It's very important to apply yourself one skill, one thing at a time. Let me get a Gypsy card for you. You got two. You got melody and you got child. Well, it can be literal. that somebody has a sick child, and somebody will come through for you. So that actually can talk about your ex stepping in, and it's going to be more than being grateful. It's going to be, hey, you know, I just made a supper. I just made supper. I don't wish that we can make supper for supper, but it can be something like that. But the child is very similar to Ace of Wands. It's really talking about, hey, you know, there's like something that has been happening from the past, right? And now it's kind of like seeing this light of a day. So it's again talking about the consistency that I've told you, right? But it could mean getting pregnant. It could mean a new project or new relationship. Keep in mind when I see this ace, when I say somebody from the past is coming, that can be somebody from your karmic past, somebody with whom you have been married in the past. How would you know? You're meeting a new person. Well, you would know. That's the karmic connection. You really feel the vibration. It's kind of like really standing there. So keep that in mind, right? So this is saying to me that maybe you have been a little bit withdrawn. Maybe you didn't spend enough time outside. Maybe there were like lots of things going on in your life. It could have been that you had some health issues stemming back to your childhood, kind of like a thing, right? But this is now saying everything is like working out. Some of you are maybe applying for jobs, and the job is finally panning out. It's coming to the surface. So what I would say, guys, here, being enthusiastic is very, very important, this particular thing. So you should remove any prejudice. Something, you know, is going to come and flourish. So maybe something was really hard to deliver, like this melody before child. It's almost like, you know, like when a woman has to lie down before delivery because it's a tricky pregnancy kind of a thing, right? Because the melody can also talk about that you're coming from, you know, coping with a situation, with a difficult situation, right? And being physically worn down or suffering heartbreak kind of a thing, or betrayal. And that's that suffering over here, that I had Freudian slip over that, right? So I really think this is kind of like talking about, hey, you need to really take a break. And, you know, it's kind of like Scarlet, tomorrow is another day. I tell to my clients, look, if you're suffering, if you're thinking through it, just, you know, say to yourself, you know, I can put this on the back shelf. I can always come back and cry, like, I mean, tomorrow in 2 hours. But right now, let me kind of like have this uplifting kind of like thing, which would happen, right? This in particular is going to be happening somewhere around 14th. So that is going to be really crucial day for you guys, right? So it is good to be active. It is good to start with new possibilities and new challenges. So if you want to show your pretty face, you want to show your pretty face. So my dear Geminis, enjoy it, and don't forget to click and share and come to the website so we can get your reading sooner rather than later. Love you. Alright, so we are on Cancer and Cancer rising, guys. So don't forget, Cancers, you have been the very last sign. So you need to click, you need to comment, you need to share. Like, you need to kind of like speak up, because I was really saddened that, you know, like you have been the very last sign. And I actually have a very special connection with Cancers. I have lots of Cancerian friends. Oh my gosh, the best food ever. Like, I mean, when you kind of like come and visit Cancer's home. So full moons, hello, moon in Cancer. This is your kind of like planet or satellite, whichever you want. Like, you are really affected. They're like really big events, right? So this particular one is going to highlight your financial zone, right? So it might be kind of like a kind of a release. So you have the Lovers, you have Two of Sky, Two of Swords, and then you have a Five of Wands or Five of Fire over here. And this tail belongs to Safi, so I just, if she wants to kind of come and join us, that's all fine, right? So guys, you know, maybe it's going to be need that you need to get what you deserve. That's what we saw it in your reading, monthly reading. So make sure you check this out. I really think this is going to increase your sense of worth and sense of confidence. This is about choices. This is about choices, and this is about boundaries. Really, to summarize it down to one word, right? It is really important for you guys to ask for help if you're lost, right? So this is like, well, you know, look at this. We also have the little moon, crescent moon. Like, which way do I go? Which way the wind blows? This kind of a thing. Here it is about possible conflict, possibly, you know, several people being involved in this conflict. It's multi-layered kind of a thing. One person says to another, says the broken telephone, and comes and explodes in your face kind of a thing. But this also card can actually really talk about boundaries and setting healthy boundaries, and not allowing somebody go in your space. And it's very important for you to kind of like do that, because you're going to feel much better about yourself. So let me see. Ooh, this is a very rare card to pull. It's called haughtiness, and I'm seeing here a peacock, and this peacock is not having the full tail in the full kind of like glory, right? Which really tells me like ego here is curbed, right? Which is really important, right? So, you know, that is also the central thing, like in being shown, like it's almost like being teased over here. So this card is usually describing a person or event or situation or even behavior that you can talk about somebody who has excess pride or lack of humility. In your case, it could mean just not asking for help. And it could be that you have applied for a promotion, because this card is also talking about partnerships, and you don't know which way the wind will blow. Maybe it's in somebody else. You don't know if your boss likes you, if the other person favors you, and all of a sudden there's a conflict. All of a sudden, like a situation which should be good, it's kind of like turning out really this way. So make sure that you're not the one who is kind of coming across that you're like a little bit arrogant, or just like it's me about me, but rather than that you are, because I'm having a feeling it's going to be managerial role, that is going to be something, hey, how do we really make sure that everybody is like being satisfied in the situation, right? So this can indicate also that you're like really proud of something, that you're proud of setting these boundaries as well. And you might have admiration of many people. You might have kind of like few people winking at you and asking for a telephone number, right? But at the same time, if you come across as I'm too good for you kind of a thing, they're going to be gone in a second. So keep that in mind, because a healthy ego is a good thing, but you really need to be mindful of your behavior. So this is kind of like telling you, look, confidence is good, but confidence is very tricky, because sometimes people see confidence as arrogance, and you can behave exactly the same way. One person over here is going to see arrogance, another person is going to see confidence. So be very mindful of that, Cancer. And again, make sure you also check your rising sign, and also make sure you check your monthlies and you click there, because I don't want to read for you the very last one, and Is Your Ex Coming Back series is like just on its way out. So just go and do it. Love you guys. Okay, Leo and Leo rising, I have a little mini Leo here that is very interested in the reading. She just really wants to see how she comes across on a big screen over here. So let's start, guys. So this is kind of like something that is really opposing your sign, and it's going to be really interesting, right? So this full moon may bring things to a head, especially when it comes to a particular relationship, right? So wow, you got like freaking 10,000 cards over here. Especially, you know, if you kind of like want to make it work, right? So both your needs and partner needs are being met equally. Whoa, look at what we have over here. We have Four of Cups, Four of Sea, we have the Empress, we have the Devil, and we have Ten of Cups. Now, very intriguing combination, because it's kind of like going to be that yo-yo effect over here, right? So as I was talking about how to kind of like look at this equality, how to kind of address this kind of equality and make sure that you and your partner are kind of like feeling that you both are pulling the same weight and doing it. Because here I see almost like, yes, I know she's the Empress, but I do feel this aspect of especially Venus is in Leo, so it's very important. This is like really coming through over here. This can actually really talk to me that you're getting rid of some baggage that you had, maybe that had left you lethargic. Look at this, like in Four of Sea, he just never mind lobsters, never mind snack, I am not interested, I really don't care, right? The Devil card really talks about sometimes exes reappearing, especially if those exes were the ex important partners, people you live with, you have been married to, or there was like this M word kind of a conversation over here, right? And there was huge imbalance. Somebody was pulling strings in that relationship, and maybe they are there to dump you, or you bail yourself out because something just hasn't been right. And you see, that kind of like was in a way between you and this perfect picture perfect marriage that you really wanted, right? So if in your head this person comes through, and this also can be happening just completely, you know, sidelines, something from the past resurfacing and cleansing it, right? Because this is opposite of your sign. We need to let go of something, right? So again, if you cannot make it work, even in your head, somehow the things can work out with this partner where you're going to feel that you actually want to have children with this person, that you want to have this life, that you feel comfortable. If you do not feel like pampered as this kitty is feeling pampered, and instead you feel, oh my gosh, whenever I think of this person, I feel like that attack is coming. There is like some, maybe even psychic intrusion, or there's like, I don't know why I'm getting this. I'm continuously getting this feeling that you haven't been treated the way you were supposed to, that any person is supposed to, but you still have this royalty. You kind of like really like to have it. Now, if you're having this vision, or this person comes across that way and it kind of like proves impossible, that you just cannot make it work, well, it's time to release this person from your life and just make space for yourself, and you're not going to regret it. There is like a big emotional component over here, there is like a big grounding component over here, and you're not taking, you know, answers. Woo, did I not say it was somebody who was really connecting to it? So it's going to be interesting. If you're single, then this card could really mean, it's the wedding card, by the way, but it's kind of really interesting because wedding back then, when they created these cards, was not about love, right, as we have it today. Well, at least in the Western countries, right? It was like more like about a contract. It was like something that, you know, you are accepting your responsibility. You are saying, well, this is, you know, the union, I'm willing to do it. It's a ceremonial kind of thing to do it, but in a sense it's also loss of independence, right? So this again is going back to maybe relationships that have been toxic over here. Maybe you had also issues with, you know, friends and family, and kind of like how you have been dealt with. Maybe you just got tired of fighting for certain things. I'm picking up on apathy, kind of like as an emotion. This in a sense is telling me that outcome is very positive. You're resolving things and saying, this is how things work. Things have to spin around me. You're saying to yourself, I am this empress. Whether you're a man or a woman, this is talking about emotional needs over here, right? So this is going to be something really important. So whether or not you're going to ask yourself a really difficult question, no matter how much you want this person, is marriage with this person making sense? Even if you're not even having close and that kind of like stuff. And if the answer comes as no, that is going to feel like, okay, I really need to kind of like let go of that. This also can talk about conception, guys. It can talk about pregnancy. It can talk about good fit, but this also can talk about, so be very careful that you might have quick affair out of for some reason with possibly an ex-partner and stay pregnant. So if this is not what you want, or maybe because you're pregnant, you will want to have this conversation and what is going on. Because look, this Ten of Cups is clearly promising this emotional fulfillment, but don't suffer, don't make it over your back, right? So you really need to understand who is the element in your life who is maybe pulling the strings where they maybe don't have the rights to pull. So my dear Leo, I want to thank you for almost like 20,000 clicks on monthlies, and I'm already starting to work on a new series in a few days. So Is Your Ex Coming Back series are coming out, and after that again I'm already working on September. So thank you so much. Just keep continuing being number one. In my books, you're number one, and so there is no need for this kind of like angry faces over here. So all the best, guys. Let me know what's going on. Would love to see your comments, and don't forget, one more time, see your monthlies, because it's good to see it once a week. And don't forget that this is for Leo and Leo rising, and that also you should also check your ascendant. And for this reading is just like main sun, sun, and ascendant, but for the monthly reading you also should check your moon sign. So until the next time, guys, I love you and wish you all the best. Hello Virgo and Virgo rising for the weeklies, but guys, when you're watching your monthlies, also check the moon sign in addition to your sun sign and rising sign. If you look down in the description, I'm providing the link how to find it if you don't already know. So guys, you're still in a Mercury shadow until 11th, so just it's almost until the 15th, and then we have the this completely full moon. So there are like two events happening at the same time where some release really has to happen for you guys. This kind of like, it's really talking about your personal health, and this is being highlighted at this full moon. And it also could be a time of some kind of like illumination of problems. Maybe you were struggling to get on top of some kind of like problems in this particular cycle. Whoa, this one really talks to me. So you got Ace of Cups, then you get Five of Sky or Five of Swords, and then you get Three of Wands. So this is actually relating right back to your card, the Hermit, right? Because Hermit is like the one who's finding the wisdom, who's saying, okay, if I need to retreat, I'm going to retreat. If I need to get out, I'll get out. But I really want to get moral choices. I want to get good choices. I want to get choices that are positive for me and for the others, right? So I really think, because this is also telling me about routine, and especially in this card you can see this like Sphinx kitty coming in the company of these really bad sky cats. And sky cats are alley cats over here. They're fiercely independent. They really kind of like are fending for their lives, right? So sort of like the alley cats that people didn't want. They've been thrown on the street and they really had to fight for their lives, right? So this kitty here has been always protected and has been always given everything, and it's not guilty of that, right? So but the others are not allowing this kitty to come in their company. So it is kind of like just realization of, hey, you know, sometimes you just don't belong. Sometimes things are battles, and sometimes in the battle you're going to lose, but sometimes you're going to win, and sometimes you will win and not to feel like a winner. This is all okay, because what I'm seeing over here is that you guys are positioning yourself for some kind of like new things. You're starting new resolutions. You're starting you're kind of like undoing certain things from the past. You're starting almost like a new schedule. But I also feel that there is like something about dating over here. This in particular card, like Ace of Cups, is always promising somebody entering your life, but that somebody might turn out to be completely in a different league than you are. Don't lower your standards. Remember, like from the general reading, if you didn't listen, go back. It's very important. Do not lower your standards. It's very important to know, because if you are this, you know, alley cat, maybe you know you have the street smarts, but you maybe don't have the finesse. It kind of like combination can work very well. But also maybe sometimes you need to just acknowledge, well, you know, maybe this is not workable situation, and you go there, I'll go here, and actually everything works out from there. And you got pleasure seekers reverse, and I really think this is kind of like coming to this one, since this is really highlighting your personal health. You might be realizing that even though, you know, it is your problem, that maybe your problem is influenced by the other people. For example, drinking, right? For example, partying, staying up very late and not being ready in the morning, not being dedicated to your work, not having that circadian rhythms which are really needed for this kind of like stuff, right? So this is a tricky card, and like, I mean, immediately I seen it kind of like connecting to this one, because it's showing like these three young men in kind of like civilian clothes, and they appear to be drunk and kind of like leaning on each other, right? And maybe shouting and singing, right? So yeah, they are having fun, but it's almost like a fun in sort of like a crazy manner, right? So this can actually really talk about the risky behavior. So do not take risks in this particular time. Remember, this is a time of finalization. Your cards are also adding to 9, which is even more emphasizing this, right? So when this card reverses, because it did reverse in your state, but it's going to be really hard to look at the screen like this, so I'm putting it upright, right? It kind of like talks about errors in judgment, which I see it over here. Just like, what were you thinking? It's kind of like one of those old stories, like, look, you just like went with that person and you don't even know him, and you just like went in the middle of nowhere. What the heck were you thinking, right? It also can suggest confusion, and it can talk about, it can be difficulties, and it can be unwise behavior. You're going to land on your feet, you're going to know where you're going, so it's kind of like ends well, but it's going to be, I think, some kind of counterproductive discussions, or somebody's going to be very, very incompetent, right? So the advice when this card is reversed is to assess actions, and maybe also like see your behaviors, to really see what is the underlying cause, and sort of like then adjust things in order to avoid the negative outcome. Because look at this card, like he is just about to jump, and he knows totally where he's going. So you guys are going to make some kind of determination. Maybe you're going to meet somebody, just realize, oh, maybe we are not for each other, off I go, and there you go, you're jumping, you're out of the case. So you're going to just, through this other person, reflect this to you, and going to say, okay, I really need to watch this, I'm being maybe real reckless. So that's kind of like stuff that will be happening. So thanks, Virgo. Just check me for a daily tarot on Instagram or on Facebook. And also don't forget to click and like, and don't forget to check your ascendant and check your monthlies if you haven't done it yet. Love you. Yes, so now this is a quasi live, and I will not be able to deliver, you know, when Barbie asked me, hey, you know, let's do the reading for the room, right? So I'm going to do it now. So guys, this is going to be kind of ask your question, kind of like, which is more or less yes or no, and I'm going to pull 3 cards, which I'm going to you see, that's why I have to pull them off camera and put it back. I'm going to pull 3 cards, and you will be able to kind of like get your answers. Going to be door number 1. Okay, let's do it this way. Door number 1, door number 2, and door number 3. We're going to look at the bottom card. Okay, so if you picked the door number 1, the answer is, well, for a king. Like, maybe you're wondering about someone, maybe you are hoping that somebody's going to come by. This is clearly talking about communication, this is talking about contact, and this is talking about a date. So certain things are going to work out. This also can talk positively about promotion. This is clearly yes, pretty much for everything. However, in order for that yes to happen, action is needed. So if somebody's not calling you, you need to call them, you need to text them, you need to kind of like knock on your boss's door and say that yeah, you want this promotion. So this is kind of like action is rewarded. Door number 2, and we are having 4 of earth. You know how you have a people, oh no, the card is reversed, it's awful. Well, this is a good news when this is reversed. How's that? So what do we see here? Kitty is stuck with all his gorgeous toys. Everything here is, right? But he doesn't have a buddy to play with. He doesn't really go in that direction, right? So when this reverses, it's a good news because he's realizing, I'm not going to hold this. I'm not going to have this pattern anymore. I really need to kind of like understand that, yeah, you know what? Having all of that is cool, but having experiences is much, much cooler. So the realization is maybe not necessarily the end, this overwhelming yes, but maybe you're dealing with someone who kind of like walled themselves in, and it's kind of like was hard to read them or hard to kind of like figure out the direction. Because like when this card shows up, it's kind of promising because, you know, maybe somebody, but you also need to think about maybe somebody's materialistic. Maybe you know you're going to look at them differently, but you also need to know that this is what you're heading for. So the answer could be yes. It's not overwhelming yes, because there's like this shadow that you really need to think, who is this person I'm involving myself with? And the door number 3 is the Tower. Oh God, this question is just something that is not workable. It's not based in reality. It's not based on a good grounds. It's kind of like it's going to be freaking shakedown. There are like some elements of this story that are not fitting. Maybe you're not aware of that. Maybe you're going, oh, shock, like what do you mean I did it? I did nothing. Like why, right? This card is really talking about that things will happen in a way that you're going to be a little bit surprised, shocked, and almost like insulted in the situation. This specifically, if you're dealing with Aries or Scorpio, it's going to have the most of the effect, and it's going to be a situation that is going to take you completely off the rails. And as much as you are hearing this today, it's still going to happen. It's still going to be a shakedown. It does give you opportunity to rebuild. So it's going to be, no, it's not going to happen in a way you are envisioning. It will need some rebuilding. It will need some vulnerability. It will need both inside and outside. So you're going to kind of like have to do lots of compromise and lots of things kind of like happening. So I would not count to it, but I would count that this can come as a kind of like big shock. So okay, this much is for this round, and let's continue with the next sign. Okay, Libra and Libra rising. Libras, I do have to say that I'm really disappointed that, you know, you are on the bottom of the list in terms of clicks. So please go to your monthlies, do some clicking, do some commenting, that I know there is a life on the other side. I'm very actually saddened that most negative comments that I get would be from Libras and Geminis, here and there from Aquarius, so air signs. And today was another one from Libra. Yeah, you have something personal against Libra. Of course, I must be having something personal against Libra, like a silly woman, right? My Libra is ascendant, so of course, if nothing else, I would like to get a reading for, you know, see my ascendant, what's going on. But with that kind of silly comments, I'm this close, just like cutting the reading. And actually, if I get a few more, that's exactly what I will do. So I'm not saying you need to suck up to me, but just stay relevant, stay kind of like doing it as personal attacks. I'm just going to get you blocked, and that's the way it is. So if you guys want to get your reading faster next time around, interestingly enough, Sky King is coming through, which is you. Just, you know what you need to do. So guys, this is for Libra and Libra rising. You're getting good kitty, you're getting Sky King, and you're getting Six of Fire. So let me translate it for you who know tarot indifferently. This will be Judgment card, this will be King of Swords, and it will be Six of Wands. Now this is really interesting combination. There's like something karmic over here happening with you. Something from the past is going to resurface and come to the forefront. Something that you have forgotten. Maybe somebody is going to say, oh, you forgot the bill, or forgot that, forget that. This really talks about paying it forward and how things are really reactive in that situation. So last new moon was July 31st, so you really have to think what kind of like seeds you sowed at that stage, because you know right now this is coming to that like full fruition, right? And you might actually see the harvest of your work. That's why the Judgment is showing up. This is like your kind of card. It's talking about this fairness, talking about everything is kind of like there and satisfied, right? And Six of Wands is really talking about, hey, you also have a right to be happy, because that can talk about optimism and success and good news and victory. And this kind of dude over here who is like so self-satisfied, he's really enjoying his spot and he found himself like something where works for him. This is kind of like about being prepared, right? That you can go through thick and thin, right? That, you know, it's kind of like a determination. It's kind of like gaining power. This is a king, but this king is not abusing the power. So it's really important that you have that balance over here, because this is about discipline. Both of them are kind of like rigorous discipline. You will be focused at work, you'll be focused at home, but you know what? You're going to end up as a winner. Look at that. Everybody's bringing their, you know, toys and their hunt to the main kitty, and they're declaring, hey, you are it, you are important. So I really think that maybe you have been going through maybe a difficult time, because the Judgment, whenever it shows up, you're being challenged. You're being challenged to get to this stage, and when challenge is over, you know, chips fall down, and then we watch how you behaved, how you reacted in the heat of the moment. Did you think through it? Did you kind of like think how other person is feeling, where they're coming from, or it was just like a knee-jerk reaction? You really need to think about it. Well, you're getting a lover over here, so it could be somebody showing up. You have three possibilities. You definitely have fire, but it could be fire sign. It could be also somebody who is like looking to you like so fantastic. You're looking to you like, hey, I really want to know this person. It's a little bit of glamour in all of that, right? Where this dude here is could be like that strong silent type. With strong silent type, he doesn't speak much, but you have this feeling that, you know, this person is like so amazing. It's like one of those people, if you finish school and you think back and you say, so and so, that teacher, I remember, he was strict but he was so fair. That kind of like would be this card over here. So it's saying, hey, good kitty, make sure that you're acting well, because this can come to bite you if you're not acting in your best interest, in the interest, also best interest of the other person. Things can really kind of like explode in your face, right? This person is here telling me that somebody, either like a water sign or air sign or fire sign, might come here. In particular, you might be dealing with another Libra or with Scorpio over here, and that's going to be somebody who is really honest and generous and sweet, but it's also kind of going to look for a long-term partnership to raise a family, right? And it's going to feel like a good fit, right? So as I said, you know, like, I mean, this is kind of like about the seeds that you have planted, right? And this is like now coming to see if this is harvest or not harvest, whether it means, I don't know, like for some of you, you might be into art. It could be art exhibition, or maybe boss is recognizing your efforts and then you're getting all these accolades, right? So it's kind of validation that you're getting. And it looks like on more kind of like, in more ways than one. Clearly love and clearly your career is going to be really amazing, and this kind of like full moon is going to really help you. But you really have to think if you did something. That's why it's good to follow these phases, full moon, new moon, because they're cyclical and they also come there to get you, because also this full moon in Aquarius is going back to new moon Aquarius, which was back in, I believe, February. So that also kind of goes back that way. If you guys didn't listen to the introduction where I was talking about how this full moon is really triggering us, I would really do that here as well. So Libra, don't forget to go on your monthlies, click and share, and don't forget to check your ascendant and your moon sign, so that way you get more. Bad comments are not benefiting anybody, and you know, I am just hoping that you guys are you know, show me some love. I mean, this takes time and effort, and if you guys don't want my readings, that's just fine. I'm going to say, okay, fine, you know, and I will know by the amount of comments and clicks. And sorry for those of you who are doing that and the others are not doing it, but hopefully we can entice them. Until the next time, all the best. I love you anyhow. Scorpio, let's see what's going to happen in this period and how this full moon is going to affect you. So you have 10 of fire, or 10 of wands. I mean, it's in a fixed sign. You have moon, or the moon rather to say, and you have ace of earth. So your fixed sign, and full moon is also in fixed sign Aquarius, and new moon was in Leo, another fixed sign. Whoa. So this is really talking about nobody is budging kind of a thing, situation. So who is right, who is wrong, is going to be lots of positioning and lots of kind of like posturing around everything. So it's going to be really interesting because there are also some secrets. And if you haven't listened to my introduction where I just gave you astrological breakdown, please do, because it's really highly applying on this reading over here, with maybe some kind of secret affairs, maybe something coming to a halt, maybe something happened in the past and it's maybe long gone, even maybe even buried, but oh my, things are coming back to the surface. It can be trigger, and the trigger, just like I mean, creates the whole freaking fire. You see here, just like one thing started to kind of like spark, and everything is just going off the rails. So this also kind of like means that you may have been carrying burdens for you and for your partner, and you're just really tired. You really don't want to do that anymore. Maybe you felt because it was a survival, maybe you felt you had to do it, maybe you felt it was the best for you. You know how I said in the introduction, like you might lower your standards, and maybe you lowered your standards and now you're feeling, oh my goodness, why have I done this? And you're feeling that maybe you need to repair that self-trust and self kind of like appreciation, right? Because moon is about darkness, right? And remember that is the darkest before the day, before the light, right? Because this talks about dreams and subconscious, right? It rules like your sister sign Pisces, and it's a full moon, and we are dealing about full moon. You're the very first sign that actually drew that. So absolutely everything that I said in the introduction applies to you, everything. And look at this is 9. It's actually 18, so 1 and 8 is 9. This one is 10, and this one is 1. So it's kind of going forward, one step, going backward, one step forward, forward, backward. You really want to go somewhere. It is kind of like going to be weak like that, right? I really think you're going to have that intensity of a situation at home. And that something happened around July 31st when we had a new moon. And you're going to find that, as I said, that you wanted certain things months ago, years ago. So whatever that is, it's either moving and you want to be in a new place, or you have a problem in a family, or you have been dealing with a cheating, spouse. Things can now be resolved, but there is like still some kind of tension that is going to exist here, and some balancing will really need to take place, both at home and at work. So this is really good. It kind of like means landing on your feet, leaving your mark, and saying, oh, I'm out in the woods. Kind of like you felt that way, I feel, before, but you were not certain. You kind of like thought it's over, the worst is behind me, but it kind of like kept drumming. You kind of like kept hearing that little kind of like voice in your head, and that was kind of like really bothering you. Oh, you got 2 cards. You got a card Room reversed, and you got a card Fortune. I really think and I'll go out on the limb and I'll say it, that you have been dealing with a third-party situation. Well, at least some of you. Room card is really talking about, you know, who do you invite to the room? Invite people who you know very well, kind of a thing, right? It's a neutral card, but it really talks about intimacy and privacy and receiving guests, right? So it's kind of like a nice home. Like, I mean, of course, that was like 18th century here, but the windows are closed, right? And so it's kind of like blocking out whatever is outside, maybe kind of like its need for isolation, right? So when this card reverses, it's really talking about, you know, world being turned upside down. It's everything that I said here, just like the moon card. Like, I mean, you're seeing things and you're wondering if this is happening, and then kind of like explodes in your face, right? So this can talk about inner turmoil or loss of perspective. It could mean that you wanted something at any cost, right? So I guess maybe you had a cheating spouse, you wanted a spouse, you have two, we have the kids together, and now you're asking yourself, okay, I have lost my dignity, and I have begged this person who did this to me. So it's kind of like, could be that fury that kind of like could be self-directed over here, right? Something like that, because now you're getting things back on track, right? And this is a very complex situation. Like, look at this. This is almost like one of those last major arcanas, right? And it's kind of like obstacles are there and things can be really distorted over here. It can also talk about some of you maybe going through divorce, and some of you just finally had enough. You kind of like pushed it. You maybe were not ready about some secrets that you have found out, and now they're resurfacing, and now not only are you not sad or shocked, now you are angry and you are kind of like really expressing this, right? So it might also, if you have issues at work, talk about maybe negative outcome, or that somebody is giving you hope and then hope is not being materialized. But there is interesting kind of like twist over here that I see. Even though kind of like these three cards are really kind of like can give chills to a regular person, you guys are one of those people kind of like, bring it on, I can take it, right? And you challenge the destiny, you challenge whatever you're going through, right? Because this is about lucky streak. This is about you being back on a horse. Both of these cards very positive, very strong, right? Fortune is kind of like depicted. Look, she's actually carrying money. Maybe, you know, you're divorced and now you're having money, and you don't have to tolerate somebody's, you know, biting their nails, or, you know, leaving the socks everywhere, like giving the seat up. I don't know. I'm just like blurring over here, right? So this also can mean like getting into a chunk of money. It could be like, I mean, a big win. So lottery, wink wink, 10% is mine, you know that, right? This also can talk about reconciliation, right? And something now is going to feel like, okay, it's kind of like straightened out. I can kind of like put this to rest finally. It's done, it's over, put a fork in me. It can also talk about that maybe somebody was teasing you with promotion, and then they just like withdrew it from you. But what they didn't know is that you knew that things can go bad, and you have been applying, or you will be applying to the other jobs, and you're going to get something better, something with much more money. So believe in your dreams, guys. It's very important over here. And remember, you know, whenever is a tension, is going to need is balancing, and you are landing on your feet. You are like a true survivor over here, Scorpio. So thank you again, guys. When I told it's clicking contest for the monthly readings, oh boy, did you ever come through. You really worked your way up. So just make sure you do that again. Monthlies are always good to check a few times per month, so you can follow through. And I take this very seriously. If you take it seriously, you will see how much easier life becomes. So my dear Scorpio, if you want a reading with me, tarot.ca. And until the next time, you know that I love you. All the best. Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. Let's see what's happening. What's happening, Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. So your sign is the sign of philosophy, of adventure, of kind of like new paths, and you can also be kind of like very fast forward, like both in how you think but also in how you kind of like formulate things. So sometimes you can be too much for the other people, right? So this is kind of like one of those times, like this full moon is where that adventure is going to be emphasized, right? And look at this, I was just saying adventure, and the adventure card came through. So you have 9 of Earth, you have stars, you have Earth Queen, you have a full reading, you have 6 of Fire, and you have the Chariot. Lots of things happening here. In 5 cards, you have 3 major arcanas, guys. This week is going to be huge, as some presidents would say, right? Huge. So this is really talking, 9 of Earth is kind of like feeling comfort where you are, who you are with yourself. You're opening yourself to the new hopes. And look at here, the kitty is looking at a Leo. Interestingly enough, full moon in Leo, this card now to me has a little bit different meaning, right? Stars card is always about winning, but not winning in terms of I got you. It's sort of like when people give up hope, but just before they give up hope, they're thinking, you know, I have to try it. I will try it, you know. I'm focusing over there. It's like that light that you see, that you kind of follow, like, right, the North Star of tarot, where you feel instinctively that you're on the right path, right? It's kind of connection to the universe. This is a very important card, and it is really talking about that it's time to embrace new ideas and growth. This belongs to Aquarius. And in this card we see a Leo. You guys need to go back in the beginning of this premiere and listen to everything that I said for full moon in Leo, because it's going to apply on you 100%. It's really not much that can add over here. You might be dealing with your husband, with your wife. There's like somebody's feeling a sense of victory over here, and then I'm taking off. There's like a new way of conquering. It's kind of weird. It almost like goes in a procession. It's a 9, and then we have a 8, and then we have a 7 and 6. It's almost like there's like something going backwards. Maybe there are going to be layers peeling off of some kind of like you're like really on the go. You really want what you want, and you kind of like are really determined to get it. So I guess, you know, if you wish for adventure, it's what you're getting it. Now you really need to choose how big that adventure is going to be, and do you have like these big wings to spread to kind of like go into that, right? You need to stay grounded while you're kind of flying with those wings, and you really have to make solid choices rather than kind of like fly by the seat of your pants kind of a thing, right? Also, realistic dreams are important. That's why you have Pentacles. This is like the Queen of Pentacles over here. That can signify a partner, wife, husband, serious partnerships, right? Or it can be appearance of somebody. You guys have a few things that are really jumping. You have earth signs over here showing. You also have possible Aquarius. You have fire signs, and you might have a Cancer showing up here as well. So this is clearly a time to understand that you can actually go further, that you can do certain things. And I'm going to take one of these gypsy cards, and one just jumped out. Whoa, you're getting Soldier reversed. Well, Soldier to me, of course, is very close to Chariot. It is also about secrets. So who is holding secrets? Is it you, or you kind of like are it's kind of like that's really good part of you. Like, you are not going to dump a person if, for example, they're having these secrets. You're going to find that's mysterious. It's kind of like intriguing, right? Because a soldier is kind of like, it can also indicate somebody in the uniform. It can indicate young professional. But there's somebody, there's like, maybe you're guarding against hostility. I really think you hate negativity. And I also feel that there has been a phase over here where you needed to ground yourself. Look at the grounding aspect is really showing over here. And hope hoping, because if the hope card is showing through, that means you have been hopeless. You have been losing faith in you and in the others, right? So with this card, when it comes reversed, they're like really two very different interpretations, right? This is the first one is that you're lacking some protection, but I don't know if I can connect this much, because over here maybe you need to arm yourself, maybe certain things you're just going to jump through it, right? I mean, when I say lack of protection, I mean lack of help, people or friends who are not trustworthy, or somebody you cannot count on. I don't see that from the cards over here, right? The second one is really talking about somebody who is jealous or possessive, or you are perceiving it that way, or it could be that you are that way, either or, right? What I said, controlling, and there is like some kind of like restriction that you really want to be celebrated, you want to be put on the pedestal for some reason. It's kind of interesting. I see here two people, so I think it's going to be a battle. Like if you have a partner, it's going to be who is more important, and this is not a good situation to be, I really have to tell you. That can actually talk about that there is like some unjust situation or person, that somebody's keeping somebody from moving forward, right? And hence a business or relationship cannot develop. This card, you know, sometimes is very close to the thief card, because this fellow will come to get the thief, right? And we kind of like don't have it here, so I don't really think there's any kind of serious harm. I only think the harm here could be if you're not following your North Star, if you're trying to be right. So this is going to be one of those periods where you have to choose, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Well, choice is yours. So guys, also don't forget to check your monthlies, and don't forget to share, like, and comment, because the more clicks, the more comments is going to get you read the next time around faster. And it's just like in the next 10 days I'm already starting to work on it, and I'm going to take the final tally. So guys, thank you so much for clicking. You have been one of those top signs, so appreciate it. But make sure you're hoping, make sure you're doing the right things. Love you guys. It's going to be interesting full moon for you. Can't wait to hear your comments. Hi Capricorn and Capricorn rising, guys. So let's see what's going to be happening this particular period. So for this reading is only Capricorn and Capricorn rising, because after all I'm addressing the moon, and hence this doesn't apply. But please make sure you check your monthlies in that particular case, because it's your general reading. Everything applies, your sun sign, your ascendant, and your moon sign. If you don't know how to calculate it, it's down in the description. So Capricorn, let's see what is up here for you. Capricorn and Capricorn rising, right? So you're already getting two cards, and one is Two of Fire and Three of Earth, and this two want to come out. So let's see what we get. Two of Fire, Three of Earth, so we Two of Wands, Three of Pentacles. Then we have Two of Earth and Cat Magic, or the Magician. This is a really interesting combination. I really feel that you are kind of like dealing with a situation where you're wondering how to proceed, how to go forward. Some of you might be juggling life, juggling people, juggling situations. Some of you, it looks to me like giving that, you know, you're getting this earthy flavor over here. And this is clearly talking about this Mercury retrograde. Like it could be that period of the last 5 weeks have left a really kind of like mark on you. I also feel that you have set intentions maybe a few months ago to kind of like have a new start, new beginning, financial new beginning, right? And this is now the time where you will see that come to life. But things are still going to be in fluctuation, so I would not make big investments yet. It kind of like you need to really make sure that you have enough personal security first. And that's why the cat magic showed up, right? The magician says, you have all the tools. Like, no need to sit on the fence, because like you're wondering, do I take this path, do I take this path, do I take this option, do I take that option, right? Then you're realizing need for kind of like associates, for other people, for opening yourself up to the universe. And then you go back to, well, I don't know, like there's too much for me kind of like to do. So hence I'm saying it's going to be really interesting. You really need to stay focused, you need to really zoom, and you need to stay in balance. You have everything that you need in this particular time. So let me see what gypsy card you get. What gypsy card you get? This one. Merchant, and merchant is reversed. It's very appropriate, couldn't be more appropriate for the reading about, you know, your kind of like direction, right? So merchant is like a card that really represents this like people who are going on up and up and up, right? So he's kind of loading this thing. So this is kind of like a businessman. This is exactly going back to that financial reading, right? So this card is really talking about success and financial gain and investments and so on and so forth, right? When it when it appears reverse, it talks about that something from the past is holding you back. You either still have ties to something, maybe something that actually didn't even work out properly, right? Maybe something that was even business failure, right? You're kind of like really that cautious and this careful, because I really think you're afraid of investing. You're really afraid of starting a new venture negotiation, right? That's why you go 2, 3, 2, 1, like you go forward, you go, so you go out on a limb and you just pull back. It's kind of like really, really hard to jump in the water, right? Almost looks like somebody will have to really push you in it, right? So if this happens to be emotional kind of like thing, you kind of like, you're really wondering if you really need to negotiate your relationship in one way or the other, because you feel that even if you try, it's kind of like you're going to get the short end of the stick, right? It almost looks like that there's somebody who is unable to hold up their end, right? Or maybe doesn't even want these things to succeed. It kind of like feels like you're carrying the double weight, and no wonder you're really thinking. You're thinking, should I go? Then you try, say, okay, can we work it out together? And it goes back. Maybe you're dealing with somebody who is juggling. Maybe you're dealing with somebody who has somebody else on the side. You really have to keep it in mind. I would say advice here would be for you guys that you need to have confidence, because there will be success in business ventures, but this week is not going to be the best for it. So in this particular week, as I said, you really need to kind of like keep an eye on a much bigger goal, and kind of like everything else, take it apart, because everything else is just a noise. So that's it, Capricorn. Don't forget to check your monthlies. Don't forget to click, so your reading can actually be read faster. The more clicks, the more comments, the faster you get your reading. And you guys really, really need to roll up your sleeves and do it. So also would like to know what we can learn from you, because you are people to go to learn about finances, and it's going to be really nice to see that you're letting go all of these kind of like holds that somebody had on you, or that you kind of like held yourself down in the past periods. Love you guys. Until the next time, all the best. I don't even know if I am able to have this, if I'm able to squeeze it in, and hopefully they're not going to freak out. But like whenever I say Aquarius and Aquarius rising, that song clearly gets through my head. It's kind of like something that they really need to know. So let's see, Aquarius. It's a full moon Aquarius. I guess you are really kind of like wondering, this can be momentous, right? This is talking about reaching a pinnacle and understanding that you are somewhere. It's kind of like Aquarians generally lack focus, and try so many different things, because we have to knock the doors down. It's very, very important, right? But this is going to finally feel, I did it, and I did it my way. I kind of like really enjoying doing it, right? So it's going to be also something that you're going to be reflecting in the last few months. You have a 6 of Earth. This is being in a position to share, being in a position to understand others, to understand where they're coming from. It's like that humanitarian card. I absolutely love this card, and I know it's a Pentacle card, but this really resonates with us Aquarians. Then we have a Fire King. It could be somebody making an appearance, meeting a new person. Ooh, and I have a Sky King. So it's going to be lots of choices and lots of possibilities over here. So where do I start? I can go one by one, but I do see here that it could be kind of like morphed into one person. Like when the fire and air morph together, the fire is brighter and the air is getting clean. It's a very, very good combination. One is like kind of action, another one is intellect. So it's, imagine if the brainy person is like creating something and they have this like huge desire to just go and until they really kind of like accomplish what they want to accomplish. It is like a really awesome kind of like treat, right? So with 6s, right, like it's kind of like talking about the past returning, right? So maybe, you know, those who have given in the past, and we tend to be the givers, and rarely that we get that back. It's always kind of like feels like paying it forward. But check this out. This that has been given, we are going to be rewarded on a completely different level. Maybe from the same person, maybe from the same situation, but also it could be something just different kind of like happening, right? So this is about the generosity now being bestowed upon us, right? And maybe investment that we have made and we were wondering, should we continue, should we not continue? This is going to allow us be this like crazy genius and going this crazy direction. You know, like, wasn't it Steve Jobs, and he's not my favorite person, but didn't he say like crazy are dreamers? Like, I mean, allow yourself to go in this direction. I think it's very, very important, right? So giving that is going to feel like it being on top of the world, like either one of these. So you might be dealing with a fire sign, you might be dealing with another air sign. Minority of you will be dealing with earth sign. Oh, it's money, and this is kind of like they're eating from the jeweled plate over here. And look at it, not only did he open his home to the kitties, but he's saying, okay, bring your kittens as well. Like, this kind of like feels comfort of having things. It's kind of weird because this is the scene I had today, sort of like that in my head. I was like walking on one of these, you know, adjacent islands in Toronto, and I was like, okay, if I had a house here, and I realized this like Lake Ontario has this like big waves, and I was like, really, okay, so how are those waves formed? I know they're formed in the sea because of the currents and everything, but this is a lake. It's a very deep lake too. It's 180 meters. That would be like 600 feet or something like that. So I guess that's where the rub is. When the wind meets the moon and moon pulling, that's how the waves create, and the waves can crush you. So I was thinking, okay, so what if the boat crashes and somebody is like banging on the door of my imaginary house in this such beautiful environment and say so and so, how would I trust? And this is exactly this card about that trusting, right? And this is like when you believed in you. This is when you know who you are, giving yourself pat on the back, right? It's something has been happening over the last few months. Maybe it was crawling, but crawling nonetheless came to the point where you feel, okay, this is what I need to do. And you have every reason to be proud. You need to balance that kind of like personal achievement with your personal relationship, and you'll be doing just fine, right? Well, when the money card shows up, believe it or not, I usually see this card as card of secrets. Why? I have, and I don't know if you can see it here. Let me just try to come closer to you without shaking my arm, my hand, and it's not working. Well, anyway, you can see here there's some kind of books or investments or some sort of crap, and I'm always like wondering what is in it, right? What kind of like knowledge would I find out? Would I find that there's like something that is rewarding or not, right? So it's a very positive card, right? And it's clearly linking to this pentacle card over here, right? It's also Six of Hearts. It's exactly the same card if you really wish, right? So this can talk about inheritance, it can talk about winnings, it can talk about luck. This is a great card for unions, and it could be two different people. They're kings, and kings means they are now mature. Maybe you have been dealing with a younger version of this person, and it was like, okay, call me back when you mature. You know how we say sometimes in a sassy, sarcastic way, but they're really not calling you back because maybe they've been going through the grinder themselves, and now they're realizing how things have to be happening, right? This also can be, I guess, financial challenges and need for more capital. Maybe investments are a little bit delayed because of these hidden kind of things. And it also kind of like advice would be like, I mean, hey, you know, don't splurge. Yeah, right. If somebody gives you something, this is really all cool and it kind of can work out. So this is really positive card in spite of everything that I said. But it could be that the family just gives you money. It could be just like sudden inheritance that can come, right? Or lottery winnings. I'm going to play one. I wouldn't mind being a millionaire. This card, it's not little money. This card, it's lots of money. This card symbolizes great wealth. Or you might meet somebody who will have that great wealth and who will have no problems sharing it with you. Be reasonable. You're not getting the whole house. You're just getting the food. Just keep it in mind, right? So this card also symbolizes desire and kind of like having this goal, having this focus. And as I said, it's kind of like crazy genius, like something that you're brewing in your mind. You will not be really sharing these cards with other people. You will be keeping this whole process for yourself, right? So it's going to be kind of interesting situation where you will be very cautious about the money, very cautious about investment. In fact, almost like penny pincher, but on the other hand, you'll have really big plans and you will know where you're going. It almost like looks to me that maybe somebody splurged too much recently. Maybe we are giving left and right, and now you're feeling, okay, now I have to get serious, and serious you get, and all of a sudden things are starting to work out. So enjoy it, my dear Aquarius, and also congratulations, you're one of the signs that have been like almost like on the bottom when I started this like click contest thing, and you're like now second. So keep clicking, keep commenting, and let's take it away from Leos. It's the same tangent. Like, it's so amazing that Leo and Aquarius are first two. So good going, and you really need to overcome the challenges. So if you did it and it was so easy, you're helping me with clicking and you're helping yourself at the same time. What else can it be but win-win situation? Till next time, fellows, love you, all the best. So Pisces and Pisces rising. Let's see this full moon. In tarot, the moon card is connected with your sign. In astrology, the moon is connected with Cancer. So it's going to be really interesting how this evolves. So this full moon is, oh, you're already getting the cards out. Interesting. Look at this. Look at that. That's kind of like interesting combination. Wow, you have Ace of Sky or Ace of Swords, and you have a Sky Kitten or Page of Swords, and then you have the Priest. It's almost like talking about some kind of like brutality and brutal truth, or victory, or some truth is coming out. Kind of, this can be priest, that can be judge, that can be a lawyer, that could be involved in a situation. Pisces is like full moon for Pisces is going to highlight spiritual development, and it looks to me like, I mean, kind of like going back to the basics, right? This is who you are, that's how you react, and you're dealing with that full cycle, right? Full circle, because you have been going through these periods where you didn't even trust yourself, didn't trust anything that is happening. That full circle effect you're going to see in your work, in your health, and also I can see here if you guys have any, I guess, legal issues, if you have any, you know, childhood payments, that kind of stuff, it's going to be a win, because this is the card of victory. This is the card of, I have achieved that. I am going in this direction, right? So this dude here, almost like, to me, it looks like a battle in a courtroom, and not everybody here, I know it's in a courtroom, because this kind of like can be that sharp words and probing and to see how somebody's going to react, and this kind of like is judge with a gavel and say rule, quiet, quiet, kind of a thing, right? Because it has this very strong feeling, and this moon, full moon, is Aquarius, which is a fixed sign, and the priest or the Hierophant is also Taurus, which is also the fixed sign. So you might be dealing with earth signs, you might be dealing with air signs over here, you might be dealing with kind of like clearing the karma. This is one of my karma cards, which really talks about, okay, you need to cut something from the past. Certain things are not working out, and you also need to change something in you, but then sky's the limit, and just be careful who you step on. And I don't know if you can see it in this card, he's so enthusiastic about his string that he's like not seeing this, like, I mean, pretty dandelion that he's going to squish when he kind of like lands on it. So let me see what is the corresponding gypsy card for you, my dear Pisces. And I always call you sweet Pisces and dear Pisces, bad boy, like, you know, I really get nasty comments from you guys, that I'm really sometimes in a shock, and I'm like, what did I do to you? Why are you like that? Look, you're having foe, but foe is reversed. Wow, that's an interesting card. Whenever I see this card, I'm thinking, well, first of all, she is known. She's going through the front door. She's going through the open door. She's not necessarily hiding her face or anything, but she is still kind of like, I would say, shuffling, right? Kind of like getting herself in. There is like certain apprehension about her, right? So foe really talks about maybe female enemy. It could be somebody who is a rival or competition or fake friend, you know, somebody saying all this stuff, but they're doing this for reasons that are only maybe known to them, or maybe you can even get through it, right? So it could be that somebody is like telling you, yeah, you're right in this, but they're like digging something behind your back, right? That kind of like is talking about somebody who can interfere. This could be this person. It could be somebody on a social media. And also kind of like interestingly how social media works. It's almost like a game of a broken telephone, but you're going to find something via social media and going to put your foot down after happening, right? It can be seen that way, right? Because we also have a male kind of like hiding behind a tree, which is called, the card is called enemy, right? But unlike that card, this card foe represents someone who is, as I said, out in the open. It's kind of like it's known to you, it's visible to you. It may be somebody who is like really dear and you don't suspect. In fact, most likely that's who he is. And people who would say no, they wouldn't do it, and then it really comes as a shock to you, right? That also can talk about immorality and infidelity, and that's why it would make sense that we have the Hierophant and kind of like setting the rules. Maybe somebody is getting frisky and flirty, and you're thinking, oh, okay, this is going in a bad direction. You're putting your foot down like before anything happened, right? There is also a positive aspect of this card, that there is like, I mean, time to avoid the damage, and that's what I said. There is like not necessarily cheating, but you're seeing somebody has like what they call it, the wandering eye, kind of like a stuff like that, right? So it's needing for you to know when to close the door and which people are in, which people are out, right? So beware, maybe somebody wants to kind of like, if you're in a relationship, create problems in that relationship, or if you're single, somebody's telling you about this great person, and but they're telling them all kinds of nonsense about you, which is not true, and yet you're trusting them to be your friend. So it's kind of like creating this whole mess, right? If you really think about it. Be also very careful at work, because you might be involved in gossip, and this might cost you. That's kind of like another warning that I would see over here. And I really think that, you know, if you're in a relationship and there's like somebody who kind of like exchange harsh words or say something, or it's even saying, well, you know, this is going nowhere, we kind of like really need to kind of like see other people, it's going to be because there's like somebody close to you who has given that ideas. So you will be able to nip it in the bud, and that is really important to understand. So my dear Pisces, is going to be anything from winning in a course to watch your friends and keep your enemies close but your friends closer, or no, the other way around, keep your friends close. I know it was the other way around, but like in this case, kind of like it made sense to kind of like reverse it. So until the next time, guys, I love you, but you need to love me by clicking. That's how you show it, by commenting. Make sure you check your monthlies. It's good to check them a few times a month and see how things go. I had lots of problems with Pisces. You better love me this month. It took me 7 days to release the snippets of the monthlies, because I'm just doing this for people to just go and retrieve that kind of like information if they look later in a month, as well as the newbies. And those of you who are with me for forever, you know that you will go for a full reading, and you know that sometimes I just go on for freaking forever. 45 minutes later, oh no, now I have to spend another 5 hours to edit it. So until the next time, guys, I love you. Would love to hear your comments, and I wish you all the best. Love you. For those of you who have been patient, one more time, pose a question. I'm going to cut the cards in the thirds, and you can see we're already having a celebration outside. And I'm going to answer your question. Let's see. Door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. So left, center, and right over here. For those of you who picked this door, you're getting 5 of sky. I really believe you're fighting for someone. This can be a third party situation. It could be that there is an extra person, or you are having a feeling that somebody is not really completely honest. You're also feeling that there's lots of jealousy in the situation. There are lots of things happening that are telling you that you're on the right path. I also feel that you're actually completely wrong about the situation, and you're making this much bigger of a deal than it is. This is also very much you're affected with this full moon. So the answer would be you might get it, but it's going to be a cost, and you're not going to feel really accomplished. Let's kind of like put it that way. So it could be like one of those cheap victories where, you know, you grab a toy from a kid and say, I won, kind of a thing. So don't kind of like lower yourself. And this is kind of like really talking about the struggle and circumstances and positioning and the rules and who belongs where, and, you know, like she doesn't belong with you, or you shouldn't be with him, that kind of stuff. When you're trying to direct somebody else and this card shows up, it tells you like, no, you only can govern yourself and your emotions. So it's kind of like going back to it. If somebody is rejecting you, rejection is God's protection. So be very careful with this. You might get what you wish, but beware of it, kind of a thing. Door number 2, death. Wow. This is one of the saddest cards that I have ever seen in tarot. With all of these lives leaving, all of these 9 lives are gone. This is really telling me that this could be a situation that is really entangled. You might be dealing with divorce. You might be dealing with a partner with some kind of like child support game, or some kind of paperwork could be involved. It simply could be involving like kind of like rebalancing those scales of karma, because this is really telling me that something is finally coming to an end. But since that card is upright, that ending is at the same time beginning of something else. It is transformation that needs to happen, and because of this transformation, things can get better, because now you know few things. You know what you really want and know what you really don't want. Usually people just go in one of these directions, but knowing both of that is putting you in a very positive frame of mind. So the answer is no, it's not going to happen what you want. It will have to be very different. It will have to be redefined. And the last one is Earth Kitten, or Page of Pentacles. Well, this is a positive development, but it's going to be super slow. It's going to feel like it's not going anywhere. It's going to feel like there are lots of differences with this person. Just make sure that you're being very fair. Make sure that you're being very kind. And it looks like that somebody who is very different and comes from a different walks of life, or comes from completely different culture, and you are going to find certain things in common, and you're going to be really excited about it. It's going to be like in Casablanca, you know, this last scene, the beginning of a very long friendship. So this, I would say, more or less, it's a friendship, or it's a cooperation, and it's really good to kind of like take it in that direction. But I really don't think it's going to be much more than that. This is very good for students, and it's very good for work to kind of like acknowledge it in this direction. So there you go, my sweethearts, and thank you so much for being here. I am probably swimming at this stage. I'm probably enjoying myself, and I'm watching like this live conversation somewhere remotely. So hope to see your comments, hope to see your likes. Don't forget to share, don't forget to comment, and thank you for everybody being here. And the next time I'm going to be live, not with premiere, but hopefully this was better than the first time. You will be the judge. Tell me all about it. So love you, love you, love you. Matrix came to say love you as well. So I see universe is back in order. So thank you so much, guys. Enjoy, and hopefully you're going to enjoy this like full moon in Aquarius. If I were you, I would just go back to the beginning and again hear this introduction, because it is very important, and this is a very important passage. Until the next time, I love you, and I wish you all the best.